How to solve it. Talking about the problem. Now that we know that we all have problems, originating in the simple fact that we grow up and live in a system that demands us to pay attention to anything but our own body, we may try to look out for solutions. Talking with your spouse or workmate about how you feel may solve a conflict and make life easier here and now. Shared pain is half pain, right? If that doesn't do the job, we have professionals. A psychiatrist is educated through half a decade or so as of how the human psyche works. He can help us understand what has happened to us. Psychotherapy or counseling may indeed offer a very needed room to tell your story. However, can you imagine counseling making a difference on an established attention deficit hyperactivity disorder? Even with a professional, can he make ADHD go away by talking about it? Well, standard procedure is medication. Communicating your problem to a counselor or being comforted does not really heal chronic stress. Rather, it is commonly known that speaking about the events behind a trauma may actually trigger the trauma anew and make the situation worse. Good advice. When talking to friends or practitioners, there will be no lack of good advice. You actually harvest from the experiences of endless people by listening to some few. Here are some common, generally good advice. Get enough sleep. Consume less sugar, fat, meat, alcohol. Get regularly fresh air and exercise. There most certainly will be something to most of it, and if you can find your way, you might end up with important life-changing impulses. Yet, regardless how good they are, they may be too general and lack the ability to target your problems specifically. Medication. Medication changes chemical balances in the body and of course in the body fluids. Hence, when you eat a pill, it dissolves and the content is distributed throughout the body and it will eventually reach each and every cell. If the content of a pill can change the chemical composition in the bloodstream, how easy would it be to heal any disease concerning our heart and blood? Yet this is exactly where we are hit the most. 1/3 of the population dies from an endless list of cardiovascular diseases. How can that be? How come that 1/3 of the population dies from cardiovascular diseases if it is so easy to regulate the composition of our body fluids? The reason why medication does not work is rather simple. Already from a logical reasoning, you will easily understand why. The body is built to bounce off any impairment any time. This applies to all levels. Let us take some few examples. On a psychological level, if somebody insults you, you either turn away or counter the insult with a harsh reply. On a physical level, if somebody throws a ball towards you, you instantaneously kick it back or move your head to avoid the impact. If you drink too much water, your body will drain the surplus off through the kidneys. If you get dehydrated, the body will keep water back and the urine turns dark. The same applies to anything you consume. To the body, Any medication is just another input that has to be balanced or deterred. Any medication will inevitably bring with it some adverse reactions. We will come back to this very important point shortly. Surgery. A surgery may constitute the difference between life and death. What surgeons are capable of is jaw-dropping. It seems that you can bring some buckets of body parts from a car accident, and within some few hours the body is glued back together. Not exactly ready for a beauty contest, but nevertheless. Surgery is where modern medicine really shines. It is one of the main tools for acute medicine. But as a cure for chronic conditions like cardiovascular diseases, most people are born with a well-functioning heart. How could it deteriorate to a state where it has to be cut, reconfigured, or even replaced? Believing that simply cutting out tissues can do any good indicates that long years of malicious influence are not acknowledged. If we remember what we stated about the medication, sadly, it makes sense. No medication can heal a cardiovascular disease. Hence, most people live their lives whilst their bodies deteriorate by the day. On prescription. Someday the state has aggravated, there is no way back, and the doctors will wash their hands and declare there is nothing more we can do. Alternative medicine. We should not forget the alternative medicine. There are lots of important branches here. In general, they tend to know of and focus on healing, not so much with the help of chemical compounds, but rather by influencing the chi, the life force, or whatever the favorite wording. Visiting an alternative therapist may turn more attention to the body as a living being, deprogramming the idea of the body being as a mere machine and understanding that you are a spiritual being having a physical experience is an important step. You may adhere to the custom, inherited from modern medicine, that you hand your body over to the specialists, like you hand over your car to the workshop and the specialists fix this and that without you having to do anything. Well, except for the bill. If you have got the money, this method does work for your car and your house, but for your body? At some point, even the best specialists will tell you there is nothing more we can do for you. And at least at this point, you may understand the benefit of taking responsibility for your own health. Affirmations. At least some will try to take control over their own lives. They attend yoga courses and mindfulness classes. They write affirmations on the fridges and repeat them day in and day out, right? Dealing with the positive affirmation, we become aware of their negative cousins that we were taught to ignore. If the affirmation, I feel good, is supposed to be necessary, this would imply that I really do feel bad. Or I feel worthy would imply that actually I feel unworthy. When you repeat an affirmation over and over, the goal is to persuade the subconscious to change. You try to erase the old belief by drowning it in the hope it will change the content of the subconscious. Changing habits using sheer willpower is absolutely possible, but it is very hard work. The simplest thing may take a lifetime, and there seems to be no end to it. It may even turn out to become another rat race, with the result stress and depletion. Another problem with positive affirmations is of a somewhat different character. Saying, I feel good when I actually feel bad could make you feel worse, because you're now consciously doing something that you were taught not to do. You're lying. To say, I feel good when you feel bad is a blatant lie. If you are like me, you feel worse the more you lie.